Gout. This medicine has also a chronic constitutional state, viz. its gouty nature. It is a very useful medicine in gout. It has gouty soreness and inflamed nodosities of the finger joints, of the elbow joint, pain and gouty swelling of the great toe, red tumefaction of the joint of the great toe. It establishes, in persons who are subject to chalk stone deposits around the finger joints. These gouty subjects take cold, the bones ache, the joints become inflamed, the patient will say he is chilly, the skin becomes yellow, the urine is charged with bile, the stool becomes whitish, and he becomes weak. In many instances these patients have been for years resorting to Burgundy for relief of their gouty joints and the weakness. Some one of our homeopathic remedies will relieve the suffering, but in those old gouty subjects who have been always drinking wine, you cannot take the wine away from them at once. You cannot do it while they are having the attack, because they have become so accustomed to it. Burgundy is the kind of wine very commonly used by the gouty, but the Scotchman with his gout thinks he must always have a little Scotch whisky, and in the attack it is quite impossible to take it away from him. What has been his custom must be followed out for a while because he would grow weaker, but it is damaging him, and hence it is difficult to contend with gouty subjects who have been taking stimulants. You do not get the full benefit of homeopathy and you cannot stop his stimulants because weakness will follow. Persons who have not taken wine as a regular beverage can and should do without it, as it interferes with the action of the homeopathic remedy. These gouty patients have terrible sick headaches. Pain in the base of the brain and back of the head, associated with gouty joints. These are often referred to as arthritic headaches, that is, gouty headaches, headaches associated with painful joints. Or the headaches may alternate with pains in the joints. Congestive headaches, the pain being in the base of the brain, with more or less throbbing. The pain spreads up through the head and produces a general congestive attack. Sometimes these headaches come on when the joints are feeling better, and the more headache he has the less pain he has in the extremities. And again, when the gout affects the extremities, then the headaches diminish. Headaches, having a third and seventh day aggravation, coming with more or less periodicity. With the headache there will be nausea and vomiting of bile, nausea at the thought and smell of food. This gouty individual is also subject to vertigo, and the sensation as if he would fall to the left is especially noted with the coming on of the headache. The vertigo comes on in the morning. When he gets up he feels as if he would sway to the left, and he has to guard himself in turning to the left. Sometimes in intermittent fever this symptom of swaying to the left and vertigo ending in nausea and vomiting, violent pain in the back of the head and pain in the bones, are the first threatenings. We have in this remedy also other gouty manifestations, shooting through the temples, shooting from the left to the right side of the head. Shooting all through the head. Stitching. Tearing pains in the limbs as well as the bone aches. The headaches are so violent that they make him sick at the stomach. In gouty headaches, in intermittents at the close of the intense heat, in periodical headaches, the course is the same. The pain is so intense that nausea is soon brought on and then he vomits bile. Eupatorium has not been used on its symptoms in gouty states as often as it might have been. In intermittent fever it is well known. In headaches it is only occasionally used. Only occasionally does a man realize its great benefit in headaches and in remittent fevers. In gouty and rheumatic affections it may be suited to the symptoms and is more useful than is generally known. It is not the purpose of our talks to point out ultimates a disease. I do not look upon gout as a disease but as a great class of symptoms of a rheumatic character that occur in the human family. A great mass of symptoms that may be called gouty, a tendency to enlargement of the joints and gouty deposits in the urine. The ordinary so-called lithemia is a gouty constitution. The gouty state of the economy is the superficial or apparent cause. The real cause rests in the miasm. So when I speak of gout I do not mean the name of a disease but a class of manifestations that are met in large cities especially, less frequently in the country where the people live on farms and take plenty of exercise and have wholesome food and are not housed up. It is supposed to be due to wine drinking. Often when I say to patients that the symptoms are somewhat gouty, they reply, "I am not in the habit of drinking wine. I have not been a high liver." Such conditions of course bring on a tendency to gout. Painful soreness in the eyeballs like bryonia and gelsemium. The eyeballs are very sensitive to touch and sore to pressure. Feel as if he had been struck a blow in the eye. Sore, bruised pain in the eye. Coryza with aching in every bone. Stools. With the bilious attacks there often may be an ending in a diarrhea. Copious green discharges, green fluid or semi-solid stools, but after the attack has lingered until there is one gron emptying out of the bowels, this symptom will disappear and the secondary state comes on in which there is constipation and a light-colored stool, or bileless stool. Cough. Boneset has a dry, hacking, teasing cough, that seems to rack the whole frame, as if it would break him up, it is so sore, and he is so much disturbed by motion. A great amount of tribulation is found in the respiratory tract, in the bronchial tubes. We find a cough in capillary bronchitis that shakes the whole frame, analogous to bryonia and phosphorus. The subject is extremely sensitive to the cold air, as much so as in nux vomica. Nux vomica has aching in the bones as if they would break. He wants the room hot, and wants to be covered with clothing which relieves. Often the slightest lifting of the covers increases the chilliness, which is true also of eupatorium, so they run close together. Mind. In nux vomica, we have the dreadful irritability of temper. In eupatorium we have overwhelming sadness. The nux vomica patient is not likely to say much about dying, he is too irritable to go into the next world. Not so with eupatorium, he is full of sadness. There are other states that comes on secondarily in this medicine. After malarial attacks and in gouty affections, etc. There is bloating of the lower limbs, edematous swelling. It is not an uncommon thing for a malarial fever that has lingered a long time to be attended with swelling of the lower limbs. Eupatorium very strongly competes with Natrum muriaticum, China, and arsenicum in such lingering malaria. Dropsy. When the symptoms have largely subsided and left only this state of anemia and dropsy of the lower extremities, in the badly treated case, it is very difficult to find what medicine to administer, and the course that the homeopath must pursue is to go back and examine the patient to find the symptoms he had at the time of the intermittent fever, before he was meddled with. If now there is swelling of the extremities, and you get symptoms to show you that he needed eupatorium in the beginning, eupatorium will still cure the dropsy of the extremities. It may bring back the chill, it may bring back an orderly state that you can prescribe on. If in the beginning he needed arsenicum, that remedy will bring back the chill, turn it right end to and cure his symptoms. The trouble is that the symptoms were only suppressed, bad not being cured. So the medicine he needed but has never had for the chill, may be the medicine that he needs now. Then think of eupatorium in dropsical swellings of the feet and ankles, and in gouty swellings also. The gouty swellings are all of an inflammatory character. Very commonly these are closely related to hydrarthrosis, and here eupatorium is to be compared with arsenicum. Gouty inflammation of the knee. All the way through this remedy you read about bone aches and bone pains. It is peculiar that medicines come around on time with an exactitude. Diseases do the same thing, and we must see that it is also peculiar that they come with a regular cycle, a regular periodicity. We meet with headaches that come every 7 days, headaches also, that come once in 2 weeks, and there are remedies that have 7-day aggravations and 14-day aggravations and 3-day aggravations, remedies that bring out their symptoms just in this form. Do not be surprised when your patient is perfectly under the influence of aurum if he has a characteristic aggravation every 21 days. There are quite a number of remedies having 14-day aggravations, for example, China and arsenicum. Again, there are autumnal aggravations, spring aggravations, winter aggravations, aggravations from cold weather and aggravations in the summer from heat. Some remedies have both the latter. Press the red subscribe button, then press the bell icon to get the latest updates.